Hey guys, today is November 29th of 2025 and I'm about to open my Catlin Central University application status because they just released it a couple days ago, but I didn't have the time to open it. I'm going to do it today and we're going to take you with me to reveal it. This is what the university's website looks like and we have a status update. Rejected? Oh my gosh. Guys, this was literally my dream university. Alright guys, is this your deepest, darkest nightmares? Are you a senior in high school or are you a college student who just finished their undergrad and is now applying for master programs? Well, guess what? This is what's happening in universities. They're starting to integrate AI into their college admissions processes, and this is what we're most scared of. AI determining our fate. Is that really right? Okay, so from the previous skit that I did earlier, you could probably tell what my ethical dilemma is going to be about. And basically, it's whether or not it is morally ethical to allow college admissions officers to utilize AI to make final decisions on a student's entrance application. And so this is going to be the format that I am going to be using to introduce this topic to you. I basically already gave you a brief synopsis about this, some of the information presented here. This affects students, but it also affects the real world as well. Like, for example, in job applications, your employer might run your information through AI to determine whether or not they want to hire you. And this could be very concerning, and it raises a lot of questions that people have. So I'm going to introduce the pro-AI stance first. One of the first arguments is that it helps reduce bias. Humans, they have a natural tendency to make preconceived assumptions about you based on race, gender, class, stereotypes, stuff like that. But if we use AI, when we train it properly, we can help reduce those biases and make our decisions more consistent. Some critiques of this would be that it causes a lack of creativity and individuality, and relying too heavily on whether or not AI will be trained and programmed right is very risky because you're putting a lot of effort into this and you don't know if you're going to get the same results back. AI itself can also have unknown biases as well. It's not just humans because it could be hidden, like programmed deeply into their training patterns that engineers might have overlooked. And we're going to get more into that later because that's actually one of my other arguments for the anti-AI side. But a counter to this would be that technology is always advancing, it's always improving, and we're always going to be fixing things, even though we have small mistakes here and there. So why not just use it? Because many people are already using it and they trust it a lot, apparently because people use it for their homework all the time. So another pro-AI stance would be consistency. Humans, again, they have flaws and they may be affected by their mood, fatigue, or workload, which can possibly affect their results. And this causes a fairness issue because everybody deserves to be treated equally. They deserve to be graded holistically on a very equal scale. AI admissions are often subjective, so AI can standardize that evaluation and make it less subjective in a way. Humans can also miss and glance over important details in essays that AI can actually catch and hone in on. There are some critiques to this. Obviously, machines, they lack emotion and empathy compared to humans. That's what some people argue. But people actually say that AI can be trained to detect important qualities and details that can help them process feelings, which can be very helpful. So efficiency is my last pro-AI stance argument, and I think it's one of the most strongest ones because admissions officers, they grade thousands upon thousands of essays each day, especially during the, only during the college application season. They grade thousands of applications, and this can cause a lot of stress. So using AI, that can minimize that stress, and it helps them make less errors, and it helps them not burn out, and it speeds up the whole process, which means that students can actually get their decisions back faster. And contrary to popular belief, AI can evaluate holistically and focus on personality even, and they can judge consistently. There's actually been research that has been done on this whole dilemma. They made admissions officers in AI look at about 3,000 applications, and they discovered that the results came out similar. Like they had the same rejections and acceptance piles. Like they had similar thoughts, and they correlated a lot. So this proves that AI can actually detect and predict important qualities in the student, like leadership, perseverance, and social purpose, which is qualities that a lot of universities look for. And so a lot of people argue against this, saying that AI can cause transparency issues, and people can misuse AI, and this whole system can have hidden biases and structural unfairness that should be talked about. But people say that engineers can train AI in a way that can reveal the grading criteria that AI judges by so that it helps them be more transparent. And this is going to make a lot of sense, especially with this anti-AI stance, the whole black box thing, because AI, oftentimes they make decisions and engineers can't even explain or trace why they made that decision. And oftentimes these happen because biases are hidden deep in the training data patterns that could affect the decisions that happen afterwards. So people are wondering, if we're going to use AI, who is going to be responsible if there's going to be any errors or mistakes that happen? Like, is it going to be the admissions officers? Is it going to be the engineers? Is it going to be the AI itself? Like, what's going to happen? Who's going to pay the reparations? A lot of critiques with this as well. Colleges, they could release the weighing systems and evaluation factors that the AI uses, which can help them be more fair and be more transparent. They can code into the AI to recognize the students' merits. However, this is very time consuming and costly, especially with a lot of risks because you don't even know if it's going to work out properly, especially since the engineers, they can't even explain or trace why. So deciding or finding out why could take a lot of time and a lot of money. So my second anti-AI stance is dehumanization. Using AI just dehumanizes the whole process. You're not respecting each individual in a way that when you let AI read their personal statements, especially their essays and stuff, you're overlooking the emotion aspect of it, the empathy, the compassion part, and you're not, because those things, those sentimental things are what makes the student them. It's what forms their personality. So with AI doing it, it's not very clear. Like you might not be able to, like the AI might not be able to accurately pick up what the student's trying to put down, whereas humans might be more good at that. However, some people argue that admissions officers, they have a lot of essays to read. So reading thousands of them, they will be tired eventually, and they might not look at one's essay very closely, and they might overlook these little small details of like these small sentimental things and emotions and feelings. So in the end, it'll still be the same. And also, even without AI, the admissions process is already very mechanical, so why not use it? A counter that I kind of thought of when I was doing this is that AI, when they eventually take over, they're going to be replacing people's jobs. And these admissions officers, their entire livelihoods, they get paid to grade these students' essays. So you're basically taking away their jobs, like what they are doing for a living. And it can be very risky when you know that AI is going to be the one grading your essay. Which leads to our next point, which is authenticity. When students know that AI is going to be grading their essays, they're going to start to strategically optimize and write in a way for AI instead of actually self-expressing, which leads to a loss of creativity, uniqueness in their writing style. And it's less about merit now, and it becomes more about exploring the algorithm. You know, what can I do? What is the patterns that AI looks for? You know, to make me stand out? Like, what can I add in to make me stand out? Which leads to similar applications all across, especially reading essays, because if you're using AI, if every student is using AI, their essays are going to sound relatively similar. A lot of people say that AI can actually improve a student's essay by helping them express themselves better. So they can still express themselves while still maintaining like a good grammatical structure and good vocabulary. But a lot of people argue that this would not accurately reflect a student's academic placement, because they could be really horrible at writing, their vocabulary could be horrible, but they could use AI to make it better, which would it can completely transform their essay into a college level essay that is just not something that they themselves would write and produce. And so this would not be very honest in a way. And so how does this connect to what we've learned with all the ethical theories? Well, utilitarianism could be shown here because admissions offices, they want to use AI so that they would grade more applications faster in a more efficient way, which would be good for the majority because the students, they get back their essays in a much quicker way. Consequentialism, it's like the process doesn't really matter. We can use AI because it's efficient, it's fast, it's useful. In the end, it does, as long as we get our essays done, as long as we get all the essays graded, it doesn't really matter. Kant is shown here, especially with the whole transparency thing. Applicants, they deserve an explanation for why they got rejected or why they got accepted. Sometimes they want to know. And Kant's ethics could be seen there. Aristotle's virtue, I think that's especially important in the anti-AI authenticity stance. Being very open and very raw with your emotions, your academics, is very important. And yeah, so I personally stand by the anti-AI stance, and I think the authenticity argument is definitely the strongest. I think that the solution to this problem would be Aristotle's virtue ethics. So trying to find a balance between the two. We can integrate some AI, but we shouldn't let it control the entire thing. We still should have humans overlook the entire process, and maybe just have AI look over statistical data like class rank, GPA, grades, stuff like that, things that are objective. But subjective things like essays and personal statements, that should be overlooked by humans. So yeah, that's my works cited, and that is the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening.